Hello and welcome to the video for Wednesday, October 21st for After Effects. I'm going to let you guys in from the waiting room. Hello.
Good morning.
Are you in the green room, Rodney? That room that you're in has like a green light to it.
Yeah, that's my room.
What's the green from? Do you have like a green bulb in there?
No, it's what is covering it. So I guess
okay.
it gives off that green light. I have a symbol of wisdom, like in, like, I don't know, Hebrew writing that my dad gave me, and I hang it over my light.
Nice. Now, is green one of your favorite colors? You like green?
No, I'm more of all the B. If it starts with a B color,
If it starts with a B, you like it? Like blue
yes.
and brown?
Yeah.
Really?
Black. Yeah.
Black.
Beige.
Okay. Interesting. Well, I have a story about color. When I was a kid, I have two brothers and a sister, and when I was a kid, we all decided we were going to pick our favorite colors. And my older brother picked blue, and as a result, I was not allowed to pick blue as my favorite color because apparently it had already been picked. So I had to pick green.
Okay.
I had to pick green as my favorite color, which I do like green. I still like it today, but I think secretly it's blue, but I couldn't tell anybody because he picked it first.
Green is still good. I mean,
I like green, yeah, especially that forest green. Like, I don't know if you can tell this is kind of a green, but yeah, that kind of lush nature color. That's a nice color.
Whenever I think green, I think of like Jim Carrey in The Mask, and think of like green forest. I mean, it's more expansive type.
Yeah, well, there's about those lists. You know about those lists of like qualities that we associate with different colors?
Yeah.
And so, of course, we use that in graphic design and video and everything. And it's really true. We see white as pure, we see or like clean and minimalistic, and we see blue as very steady.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Okay, well, let me go ahead and put you guys into the attendance real quick. So that is here, pima.edu, and just log in. All right, just got to go to the attendance section. Let's see, teach, and attendance.
Is there anybody else here? I only see me and you.
What?
Yeah.
No, there's a whole bunch of people here.
Oh, okay. All right, I was just making sure it looked weird.
I'm an illusion, don't worry.
All right, cool.
I'm not actually here. I'm still asleep.
That's what you wish.
I really wish. I'm sleepy.
I also wish I was asleep.
Why are you sleepy? Is it because you were up all night playing games?
Obviously. What else do I do?
For a second, I thought you were going to give me another answer, but then I realized, no, it's not possible.
Impossible.
Yeah.
The only other time is like the night before projects are due that I'm up doing homework.
Oh yeah. Now you're a night owl. Do you stay up till the late hours anyway?
3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, I don't know how you can do that, man.
That's when I'm working.
Noon.
Oh yeah, you work the night shift?
Yeah.
Oh, how do you do that?
3 to 8 or 3 to 9.
What?
Mine's 3 to 7 or 1 to 7.
Wow.
Damn.
That's crazy. That's vampire stuff, Let's
That's
see.
fine. Who needs sleep?
Yeah, true.
Sleep is for losers. You know,
Exactly.
Sleep is for the weak, for the dead.
right. You guys know about Da Vinci's sleep schedule?
No, what was it?
Every 4 hours, he would sleep 20 minutes, and that was it.
I felt that. I could do that.
That's
No,
kinda
I can't. Never mind. I like sleep.
I could not do that.
I only sleep during class. Let's see. So when we were talking about color before, Gabriel wrote, "My mother dressed me in blue so much as a kid. It took years in therapy to be able to wear it again. You're all in the Matrix." Oh yeah, what? I must be in the Matrix because I like green. You know what? You know, speaking of the Matrix, did any of you guys catch this headline the other day? It said there is a 50% chance that we are in a simulation. I was like, what? Like, you know, the Matrix. I was
Sure,
like,
why not?
a 50% chance? I mean, come on, that's creepy.
The program spent way too much time on myself, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how would you feel if we really were in a simulation? Would that affect anything for you, or would it just be more knowledge?
No, I think that was across the street.
I want to fight my creator.
Yeah, so Gabe says, I really hope so. That means we have a 50% chance to stop the program and change a new one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where's my ability to fly, huh?
Yeah, I want
Give
to learn all
me
that
the
kung
cool
fu.
powers.
I want to learn all that kung fu and meet a woman like Trinity and
Yeah.
go around, fly around, and
Hey, we gotta start dressing like we're in the Matrix. Like, we got this coronavirus. We gotta start dressing like it's the apocalypse or something. Or some.
Dude, I can start
Right.
getting in costumes every day for the rest of the month. I have enough.
Dang.
you should, and then post a new picture, like update your profile with a new picture every time. That'd be cool.
That would be cool. Just a new, take a picture, put it as the profile, but also turn on the camera
Yeah.
for like, you know, half class.
You know, this whole Matrix thing, when you think about it, virtual reality is sort of a Matrix type of life, right? And when virtual reality gets good enough, we can all go in there and be anything we want. You know, we can be these super buff dudes, or you know, super fighting machines, or rich, or you know, charming, whatever the heck we are. And in real life, we could be in there. You know,
Like Black Mirror or Player One.
yeah, like Player One. Yeah, that's kind of trippy, but
Those were good shows.
yeah.
Mm.
All right. So let's see. Let me go to the class website here. I believe it is right here. Well, it doesn't matter. I'll just go here. Okay. And then After Effects. Now, let me check. So, okay, I want to check and see if anybody's got a presentation ready. So let's see. I thought I saw Jackson. Are you presentation ready today?
Not today. I need a little more time. The project is kind of big for it.
Okay.
A little bit more time.
Okay, that's not a problem. So maybe sometime next week. Okay. Jacob, you said you weren't here to present mine, so you could present yours. So so Jackson will give you some more time. And then Jacob, I'm enabling screen sharing for you if you want to share your screen, or if you don't, let me know and I can go find it in the folder. You say you uploaded it. Okay, so you want me to find it. Okay. So let me type in Jacob. DAR250 Jacob. And then there's the presentation. So let me try and unmute my mic. Okay. Try that and see if we can hear you. Okay, looks like it's unmuted.
I think it's maybe doing my headset microphone.
I can hear you. That's great.
Okay, I guess we can use this one.
Okay,
yeah.
so you're gonna explain this to us, and then you're gonna tell me when to turn the slides, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Okay, here we go.
I can do that. All right.
All right, let me open this with Google Slides so we can get
Gotcha.
a nice big view. All right.
Okay.
Ready when you are.
Okie dokie, I am ready. Okay, so I decided to do my presentation on the making of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I love Marvel movies, and I thought it'd be pretty cool to show you guys how they produced it. Next slide, please. Here's some basic info about the movie. It was came out in 2018 as a 3D movie, but there's actually a little touch on that which I'll explain later. And the movie had about 177 animators working on the project, which is 3 times the typical amount for an animated movie. And the movie used comic book styles and designs mixed with old cartoons to give it more of a retro type of look to make the person watching it feel like they're immersed in the movie. Next slide, please. Okay, so here are some animating techniques they used. Animators used a technique called half toning with characters to create gradients to give the movie a more of a comic book look. As you see the picture on the bottom, you can definitely see the color gradients. Some colors look more vibrant than others, just to give it more of an artsy, like comic book look. They also used a technique which made one shot last for 2 frames to make it look crunchy. It depended on the character, but specifically for Miles Morales, they made him use this technique quite a bit to make him look more inexperienced in the movie, since the movie is about him becoming Spider-Man and learning how to like be himself. Next slide, please. Okay, the frame rate differences. So the movie was animated at 24 FPS, the regular FPS amount. With like all the other characters, they were all animated at 24 FPS, but the protagonist Miles was only animated at 12 FPS with before like he actually became Spider-Man. So it shows how inexperienced he was, and it made him look a lot more choppy. And it really showed how like the animators like how skilled they were, because they had to make sure he was at 12 FPS and make sure the movie was consistent with the 24 FPS type of rate. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's some effects that they used. What was so unique is that they used the combination of both 3D and 2D aspects to make them look like they're in a comic book, because obviously comic books are on a page and they try to be as 3D as they can be. But if you see in the picture below, you can definitely see all the like the colors in the background. You can definitely tell their models are more 3D-ish, and it also looks a bit 2D-ish as well, just to give it more of a comic book look. It's pretty cool. It's honestly like the movie's like a big optical illusion, but like overall it looks amazing. Next slide, please. Okay, so for the creation time, even with the 177 animators on the project, it took each artist a week just to complete 1 second of the movie. The movie's about 1 hour and 56 minutes, which to us wouldn't seem too long, but it took the animators about 4 years just to complete the movie. And that's not even talking about editing and everything else like that. That's just all for the frames and all that. Next slide, please. And here I have a video which details the animation of Miles Morales and the movie.
To find Miles, we started with his source material. One of our biggest goals with Miles was to make his origin feel like it was a comic book come to life. Early on, we discovered line work was not only critical to our aesthetic, but was also an incredibly powerful tool to push Miles' emotional clarity. Several new techniques were made to pull this off. Animators could both pose rigged lines and hand-draw new freeform lines that described acting choices and actions. The effects team created a whole machine learning process to track a library of hand-drawn lines. And the lighting and compositing team created even more tools to further lay out line work to shape and describe outlines and edges. We wanted Miles' world to feel as though it was printed in ink and that nothing in it could be soft, including how Miles moved. We tried to avoid the perfection of computer motion. That led us to turning off motion blur and animating on twos. And that decision in turn made it so that we needed to rely on more traditional hand-drawn techniques for smearing motion, such as distorting trailing edges, comic book action lines, multiple limbs, and sometimes simplifying the shape to feel like smeared color in the spaces between poses. To help aid with our graphic look, we even built Miles to have more angularity, so that his silhouette would have more straight lines and the planes of his form could more easily break into blocks of color. His eyes were built to be irregular in shape, and the highlights of his eyes were often hand animated to look as though they were blobs of paint. Animating on twos freed up all kinds of movement possibilities and equally as many challenges. We had to adapt our performances in different ways depending on how the camera moved. In order for simulations to work with our style, we had to animate so clearly that a parallel version of our scene could be created and then automatically splined for the cloth and hair teams. We developed a new publishing process and tools to allow animators in the cloth team to preview and experiment with twos with the flexibility to make every shot a combination of twos and ones.
Alrighty, so that was a video basically just to show how much it took and all these new techniques that they used are the ones I have explained to put it into more like visual perspective. And these are my sources. Thanks for watching.
Wow, great presentation. Nice
Thank you.
job. Now that was a amazing movie. If you guys haven't seen that, I think it's on Netflix or Amazon now, and possibly both. But it's just amazing, and your presentation inspired me to want to watch it again. Now one of
It's a great
the
movie.
outstanding things about this movie is it actually beat Pixar the year that it qualified for the Academy Award. It won the Academy Award and beat out Pixar, which is, nowadays that's something that doesn't happen. So that was pretty amazing and attests to the amazing innovations these guys did with their animation. So let's see, what are the quotes or the chat here says? It says, Gabe says, yeah, 12 FPS is cutting it close. I'm sure that's impressive. Rachel says, crazy how much work and how many people it takes to make these movies. Gabriel says, very nice presentation, really cool how much went into that. Yeah, I mean, and it's just a pleasure to just sit and watch the movie, but then when you know a little bit about the behind the scenes, it actually becomes even more enjoyable because you're like, you just can't believe all the things that are going on. And then, if you look at that stat that he gave about it taking an animator a week to do 1 second, if they were doing Miles at 12 frames per second, that means it took them a week to draw 12 frames. Or if it was another character, it could be a week to do 24 frames. But it's still an amazing amount of work to go into that. And,
yeah, I think like
Rodney
Toy
said,
Story had 20 animators or something, 22.
that was
And
it.
this one, yeah, I don't know. I think it was 20 something animators, and this one had 177 and still took them 4 years.
Yeah, that's stunning. And the first question that came to my mind was, who paid for that?
Honestly.
Yeah, like that's Netflix money. That's like $100 million or whatever. But let's see. Gabe says it would take me 120 years to make that if I tried right now. Yeah, it's well, it kind of reminds me of. Do you guys know about that movie Vincent? Or I think it's not. Maybe it's not Vincent. It's called something like Vincent, but it's the animated movie that was all done with paintings. Let me find that for you real quick. Let's see. Vincent animation with paintings. It's Vincent is in the name, but I don't think it's just called Vincent. Oh, it's called Loving Vincent. Yeah. So what this was somebody got the brilliant idea to do an animation where every frame was a different oil painting. Can you believe that? And what they were going to do was they were going to tell stories about Vincent van Gogh's life, and the paintings were all going to be stylistically related to Van Gogh, or maybe even the scenes ripped off directly from his paintings. So if you haven't seen it, it's pretty amazing. But let me go ahead and play this trailer for you. I'm going to mute the ad here. Let's see. Let's skip it. There we go.
Vincent van Gogh killed himself. How does a man go from calm to suicidal in 6 weeks? Vincent left this letter.
Theo van Gogh. That's Vincent's brother, isn't it?
don't see the point in delivering a dead man's letter. So, if you had died and there was a letter out there that you had sent to me, I'd want it.
So, what brings you to all that?
I want to do something for Vincent.
You're not going to stir things up again, are you? I've had quite enough weeping over that nutcase.
His neighbors and the police and the whole town against an ill man. Vincent, what have you done?
We all knew something was very wrong.
Vincent! If only I could have been one of them. Great artists, not peaceful souls. No, that is the price of your path. Is it worth it? Did he change his mind? Did he want to live after all?
I want to know so much about his death. What do you know of his life?
What did you do for him? I would like to show by my work what this nobody has in his heart. Your loving Vincent.
Yeah, so pretty amazing, huh? Boy, I couldn't even make one oil painting, let alone the thousands or tens of thousands that it took to make that movie. Okay, very cool. Let's see.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah, it's worth it, man. It's very cool. Okay. Okay, and then let's see, After Effects. All right. Okay, Jacob says, oh yeah, I also have my project 2. If we could do that really quick. Okay, sure. Let's see, I gotta go back to Safari. And now I gotta go find your folder again. Okay, maybe I could just search for you. That doesn't, no, is that? No, that's not it. Go to Drive. Which one is it? Is it the Pirate Project or is the Anakin Pirate? Okay, so this is Jacob's project 2. All right, very nice. I like that. I like the little disclaimer about having to be 21 to get the ROM. Now, I think that the reason that was a little pixelated was because I blew it up. So apologies for that. You probably exported it into a small format so it'd be easy to play. But it looks really good. I like what you did there. I like the idea of, man, I want to go on a sea voyage for 6 months and be a pirate. That somebody should do that if they're not already. That's a really cool idea for a trip. Okay, nice job there, Jacob. I like that. Okay, so let me go back here to the class. And so we got a couple tutorials to do today. And let's see, Gabriel says, yeah, very nice. love the line sea shanties, if I spelled it right. And Jacob says it's a pirate life for me. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, we're going to do a couple tutorials here. This first one is called Remove Unwanted Objects with Content Aware Fill. Now, any of you that have used Photoshop should be aware of the Content Aware Fill function. It lets you like lasso or somehow select an area and then do Content Aware Fill, and it fills it in with similar pixels around it, so it looks like there's nothing there. It just kind of blends it in. Well, Adobe After Effects allows you to do that with video as well, that kind of content aware fill. So what we need to do, of course, is start up our After Effects. Oops, not Premiere, sorry. Start up After Effects, and then we need to go to this page here and click this little capsule here and get the files. So it says, learn how to remove elements from a video clip using content aware fill. All right, so here's my folder, remove unwanted elements, PQR. And then there's my file. So as soon as After Effects is open, we can check that out. Let me read some more of these notes here. Let's see. So this is what we're gonna learn. We're gonna preview this video clip, and then we're going to basically draw a mask around an object that we want to be removed. In this case, we got this footage of the pyramids, and we want to get rid of this funky little van here, right? So we're basically going to draw a mask around the van, and we're going to use that content aware fill to fill in the area of the van. But of course, if the van is moving, then the mask would have to, track that van and cover it up, do the content aware fill everywhere that it goes. So let me see if my After Effects is up and running now. It looks like it is. So now I can double click on this content aware fill file. Okay, and I'm going to set mine to quarter so that it plays at a reasonable speed. And okay, let's see. So we got some kind of BS that it's giving me right here. Let's see. Okay, so you can see that the little van is doing its journey across the desert there. Okay, so let's go to the tutorial itself.
We've all had that situation before where we've saved up to take an amazing trip and we have this one piece of footage that would be amazing if not for people standing in the way. Or in this example, this van driving down this isolated road. Now, to show you the clip that we're working with, I'll click in the timeline and press the space bar, and you'll notice not only is the van traveling down the street, but we're also panning and moving the camera around. So traditionally, to remove this van out of that shot would be quite a bit of work. But we're going to use a track mask and content-aware fill to fix this situation relatively quickly. So I'll press the spacebar to stop playback, and I'll start by actually moving my current time indicator to frame 0. First thing we need to do is select the frames that we would like to have filled with content-aware fill. And I'll do that by creating a mask. So I'll select layer 1 in the timeline, go up and grab the pen out of my toolbar, and I'll just click and then click again, click down here, making sure the little shadow is also in the mask. I'll click over here. I'll click out here just to make sure everything is in the selection, and I'll click there.
Okay, so let's start with that. So grab your playback head, go back to the beginning, click on the track, go up here and click on your pen tool, and then draw basically a box around the van. Make sure you get that little shadow in there. And then come up and click on the starting point. And of course, it makes a mask because you're drawing on top, you're using the shape, the pen tool on top of a layer that's selected, so it creates a mask. Safari.
Now the van is selected. I'll go grab my selection tool, and under my mask settings, I'll click on the drop down and change it from add to none so I can follow the mask as we track things.
Okay. So under mask settings, you have the drop down that says add. You can change it to none. The mask is still there, but now it's just not masking out just that area, so we can watch all the video footage.
To do the track, I want you to right click or control click directly on the word mask 1, and that'll open the tracker here.
Okay, so let's see. What did he click on? I want to say that he clicked on the. I can't remember if he clicked on just the layer or the mask itself. Let's see.
To do the track, I want you to right click or
Yeah, click on the thing that says mask 1. Okay, so right click on mask 1 and do track mask, and over here it's going to open up the tracker, which is in this lower right hand corner.
click directly on the word mask 1, and that'll open the tracker here. Now, under the method, I'll click on the drop-down and choose position, scale, and rotation.
Now, I believe that that is the default, and yes, it is, so we don't have to select it.
And I want to analyze to the right, so I'll click this inner rightmost arrow, and I'll sit and watch as all these frames are loaded.
Okay. So now we just click this right play arrow here. And what it does is it goes through and it analyzes the whole thing. Okay.
Now, if the mask ever travels to a place I don't like or gets too close to the van, I can stop the analysis by clicking directly on the button again and just repositioning the mask as I see fit. So I'll just do a minor adjustment there and I'll.
Okay, so what that means for us, if we did the whole thing all at once, is we can go through and, you can either do that like he did, which is stop the tracking and make the adjustment there, or you can do it afterwards. You can go back in here and there's a certain point, like maybe that point right there where the mask gets a little close to the van, and maybe I want to pull it back down so it doesn't catch the shadow or whatever. Actually, it seems to be pretty okay. Right there, it's getting a little out. So I have to pull that out. Yeah, so the advantage of doing it while you're tracking it is then that will be the new mask and it would catch that on all the new frames. Otherwise, you have to go into each frame individually and do it. But this is actually pretty okay. It's not doing a horrible job. I'm just being kind of picky about this. So I'll just go in every few frames and pull it back down, and it should be okay. I think most of it is pretty darn okay. Yeah, it does a really good job. I mean, most of that is just After Effects tracking. It does a really good job. So there's not a lot to worry about here, but like, as he said, it's better to just watch it carefully and stop it as you go and make the changes then, because then the mask would be adjusted for the future tracking. But what you got automatically is probably going to be good enough. So let's see what's next.
Continue the analysis. Now, notice in the timeline, we're only analyzing the first 4 seconds of this clip. I gave you the entire clip, so if you want to analyze the entire thing, that's fine. But honestly, once you understand how this workflow works over any section of video, you can apply it to multiple sections of video. Plus, using the work area gives you the ability to just apply this effect to one specific set of frames without necessarily having to edit or pre-edit the video clip that you're working with. So once it's done with that analysis, I'll go ahead and press the stop button here, And you can see, yeah, way past 4 seconds, I've done my analysis. So I'm fine. We're only going to fill in the first 4 seconds here. So let's move our current time indicator to actually 4 seconds in the timeline and change the mask dropdown from none to subtract.
Okay, so grab your playback head, drag it down here to about 4 seconds, change the mask from none to subtract. So now what happens is it's the sort of inverse of a mask. A mask would normally just show whatever is inside that area, selection area, but you know, if you do subtract, then it's going to pull out whatever is in that area.
So now there's a nice big hole where the van used to be. Make sure layer 1 is selected by clicking on it in the timeline and go up under Window and go down to choose Content Aware Fill.
Okay, so we got to click on the layer, go to Window, and then Content Aware Fill.
And you'll see the panel pop up in the lower right corner. And I'll make the panel a little larger here. And I'll go ahead under the fill method, we're replacing an object. So I'll choose object. And under the range, we only want to work in the work area.
Okay, so I think mine is in a slightly different place. Mine popped up over here. So you want to, it looks like object and work area are the defaults. So we're good to go with that.
So then all we have to do is press generate fill layer. And it's going to take a little while to analyze.
Okay. So all you have to do is press this generate fill layer. And it's analyzing it right now.
These frames. So once the analysis is complete, you'll see the area where the mask is get filled in with content aware fill. So I'll rejoin you through the magic of editing in just a few seconds.
Okay, so we can go back here and watch it do its analysis. Everybody's going to move at a different rate, you know, based on the memory speed of your computer. Also, okay, and look at that. So it has filled that in with content aware fill, which is it took all the pixels around that area and filled them in. Okay, let's go back to the video.
So once the analysis is complete, you'll see the filled in area here. Let's preview our clip. I'll click in the bottom of the timeline to deselect and make the composition panel bigger by making the timeline smaller. And then I'll press the space bar.
All right. So mine's pretty big. Let's see, I can click on my selection tool and then click down here in the gray area to deselect everything. Looks like it's not so good, my selection. Oh, what happened? Everything just went a little haywire on me. Wow, mine just kind of sucks. Let me go to full resolution, see if that helps. Oh yeah, full resolution helps. Quite a big deal. And now you can hit your space bar to play it. I don't know why why it drops back in every now and then. Oh, it's just my funky computer. Whoa. After Effects just kind of died on me. Anyway, well, you guys play yours. I'm sure they're working just fine, or I hope they're working just fine. Mine decided to take a nosedive, but essentially that's it. You can draw a mask around an area you want to fill, track it, adjust the mask as you go, and then, you know, generate the content aware fill and play it back, and it should do the trick. So hopefully you guys have got that working. All right, and that's pretty much it for the video. Let's let him finish off here.
And you can see that Content Aware Fill has done an amazing job of analyzing the video clip and replacing the suspect frames with filled in frames.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna quit a program here to give myself a little more memory. And then let's go ahead and do this second tutorial, which is isolate elements with the Roto Brush tool. Okay, so let's get some files. And then let's open up the RotoBrush file. Okay, now we got this little bee on the flower. Okay, and let's check out what the tutorial is.
The RotoBrush is a tool designed to help you quickly isolate elements and cut them out from their background. In this example, we're going to cut out this yellow flower with the bee on top from its background and superimpose it over top of this title animated background that I've already created. So I'll start by making sure layer 1 is visible on the timeline, and I'll move my current time indicator to frame 0.
Okay. So layer 1 is visible in the timeline, and make sure your playback head is at frame 0.
Then I want to make sure I'm working at full resolution. So I'll click on my drop down here and make sure I'm set for full resolution here.
Okay, I better go there, go that route, and hope my computer doesn't blow up on me.
And then I'll click on this drop down on the right to make sure that its setting is off and final quality.
Okay. So there's a little square over here at the bottom of this comp window. It's got a lightning bolt on it. Click on that and make sure it says off final quality.
Then I'll double click on layer 1 to open it up in the layer panel.
Okay, so double click on layer 1. You can tell that it's in its own layer panel now because there's a new timeline down here.
Now, just so I can see the entire video file, I'll go ahead and click on the magnification dropdown and tell it to fit to 100%.
Okay, magnification drop down over here in the lower left corner, fit. I'm just going to do the word fit because we don't have fit up to 100%. So that's our option right there.
Now we can grab the RotoBrush tool up here out of the toolbar. And rather than clicking and trying to select the edges, I'm just going to click and draw inside the flower. And once I've done that, you'll see a pink purple selection around the edge of my flower, and it's selected too much of the image down here.
Okay, so we used the RotoBrush on the shark the other day, but now we're going to use it in a different way. So we're going to go into the RotoBrush tool up here, the little person with the paintbrush. We're going to click and just draw, we're just going to paint sort of around the flower. And you can see by the magenta line that it's grabbed the flower, but it's grabbed too much below the flower as well.
So I'm going to hold down Alt on Windows or Option on the Mac, and I'll click outside the selected area with my red cursor, and I'll click and drag over top of the areas I want to deselect. And then I'll let go, and you can see it's done a pretty good job selecting the flower here.
Okay, so a little more practice with the RotoBrush tool. So what we're going to do is hold down the Option key on the Mac, the Alt key on Windows, click and drag outside of the flower on the area that we don't want because this will remove that. Then let go, and sure enough, it grabs the flower.
Now, once you've drawn the initial RotoBrush selection, you want to pay attention to this area here. This is the span, and this is the span of frames where it's going to apply the RotoBrush, which is currently only 20 frames. Now, even though this clip is 5 seconds long, I'll just focus on the first 2 seconds for this video example. If you want to do the full 5 seconds yourself, you can, but I think you'll understand the gist pretty quickly when we do the first 2 seconds here. So I'm going to hover over the right side of my span and click and drag until it crosses over the 2-second area.
Now, this is that area that I told you about the other day that's poorly designed. It's incredibly dark gray on a black background, so it's hard to see. But if you hover your mouse over this area here, you'll see these little gray blocks. and you want to hover your mouse until you see the double-headed arrow. Click on the end of it and drag it just a little past 2 seconds right there.
Then I'll press the space bar and watch the selection actually be generated over multiple frames. Now,
Okay. Well, let's see what he's going to say here. I want to make sure he's not going to give us any caveats.
The space bar to stop playback. And I want to tell you, if you're ever noticing problems with the selection, you can step through frames by using the number 2 to move 1 frame at a time down the timeline, or 1 to move back up the timeline. I'm seeing an issue right here, so I'm going to go back to the beginning, which is frame 0, and I'll start this process over again, but I need to fix this one area. So I'm going to zoom in by pressing the period key, and then I'll hold down Alt on Windows or Option on the Mac, and I'll just go over this one little area here, and now it's properly selected the petals.
Okay, so just like the last one, you know, you want to go in and make sure everything is correct. And I guess what he's seeing is that the petal is just slightly different here than what it should be. We can hold down our, you can zoom in if you want, but I can kind of see it here. If I do this, it gets rid of that extra little bit there, and now the petals are correct. Okay, let's see what's next.
To change the size of the brush, you can hold down Control on Windows or Command on the Mac and click and drag up or down to make the brush larger or smaller. Now I'll zoom back out again just by pressing the comma key, and then I'll go ahead and press the space bar to analyze the full 2 seconds. Notice as the analysis is happening, it's doing a really good job of isolating the selected area. Once it gets through my span, I'll go ahead and press the space bar to stop playback.
Okay, so now we got to let After Effects do the analysis, which we do via hitting the space bar. And it's going to go ahead and analyze the footage, you know, using that rotoscoping outline of the flower as the area that it's selecting. It's going through every frame, and once again, just like the last video, we could stop playback and then go in and adjust the size of the frame, or adjust the size of the roto brush selection so it's more accurate. But as he said, this is doing a really good job. Okay, so and there it is, and you can hit your space bar to stop playback if you want.
Now, just to make sure my work area is set to 2 seconds, I'll move my current time indicator to 2 seconds in the timeline and press N to set the end of my work area.
Okay, so grab your playback head and drag it down here to the 2-second mark. Hit the letter N as in Nancy, and N stands for end, which means the end of the work area that you want to be working in right now.
Now let's go back to the composition panel, and you can see we've successfully isolated the flower.
Okay, so now we're in the layer mode, which is, you know, just a close-up, a focus on one particular layer, which we got by double-clicking on it. But we go back to the main composition. I keep clicking on the word composition up here, and then we see our big flower and the text, the animation that he's made previous to this exists back there.
To make adjustments, I'll go to my Effect Controls panel here, and I want to shift the edge in. So I'll click and drag on the Shift Edge parameter, and I'll just have it crop in all the way around the edges just a little bit. And then I want...
Okay, so now he's going to make some adjustments. So Shift Edge right here. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the Shift Edge up here. Click on that, and it looks like he went to -84, if I read that correctly. And so drag that down over to the left until you get around -84. I got -85. That's close enough. And that's just going to bring the edge, the selection edge, into the flower a little bit, which will make up for any sort of rough selection edges there.
Position this flower to the left. So I'll select layer 1 and press P to open the position, and I'll scrub on the X parameter to position this off the left-hand side.
Okay, so we've used position, plenty of times by now. So click on the bee flower layer. Oops. Click on it once. Hit the letter P for position. Hover your mouse over this 640, click and drag to the left, and get this flower over here to the left-hand side of the page.
Now, when we go ahead and preview.
Actually, I didn't drag mine far enough. It looks like he went all the way off until you could see the words, the pollinators. So let's keep going. There we go.
For animation, you can see I've got my animated title underneath my isolated flower.
Okay, so if you take it back to the beginning and hit your space bar, it's going to render your movie. And, you know, mine's going slow because it's in full mode here. But once it's rendered all the way across, then it'll start playing back at speed. Once that green line has gone all the way to the end, and then it'll repeat and it'll loop and it'll look the way it's supposed to. Okay.
Now to make the flower pop off the background a little bit more, I'll press the spacebar to stop playback. Select layer 1, go to my effects, and go to perspective and choose drop shadow.
Okay. So layer 1, we can click on the letter P to close up that position attribute. Go up here to effects, go to perspective, and then drop shadow.
Then I can increase the softness of my shadow and add a little bit of distance.
Now, so it looks like 47 and 46 are the settings that he did there. So 47, I forget which one was which, but we'll do, maybe I'll do 46 at the top, 47 at the bottom. I don't remember which one was which, but it's okay, it's close enough. Okay, and then you got your distance of the shadow from the flower and the softness of it.
When I scrub through, not only do I have the isolated element, but I have a nice little drop shadow to add a little bit more pop. And all of the selection and isolating was made possible by using the roto brush.
Okay, and that's pretty much it. So you can preview your animation. Of course, it has to, in my case, it has to render the drop shadow now before it'll play at speed. There you go. So all this stuff, you know, is now in your toolbox and stuff you can use. Gabriel said, that's cool. The text underneath, this is a very cool effect to be able to use in AE. Yeah, it really is. To be able to take, you know, any footage that's out there and use the roto brush to isolate some part of it, pull it out of the background and use it, you know, in addition, composite it with other elements is very cool. So that's a really nice and fun technique to use. Okay, let me go back to the class website here. Okay, so I want to give you guys some time to work on your project, you know, project 3. So why don't you take the remainder of the class here and see what you can get done on that, see what you can do as far as like, you know, getting video elements together, if you want to add music, you know, if you're going to do any kind of text or animations, you know, start pulling those assets and those elements together and putting them together in a format that you can use for the project. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my video off, but I'll be here like usual. You can just chime in and start talking to me and I'll answer back, or you can type a little message and I'll answer that. Let's see, project 3, the abstract one. Yes, so project 3 is the abstract project. We could also call it the avant-garde project because that's what we learned last time, that abstract was the basis for that avant-garde movement. and sometimes if you rename something, it makes a little more sense. So if you think of avant-garde, like avant-garde in fashion is just stuff that's very unusual, but it's still stuff that is very practical in a sense. I mean, it's still wearable. It's just, it's not wearable at every occasion. It's just very experimental in a way. So, you know, see what you can come up with as far as an experimental project that, you know, has some either artistic value, or maybe it makes social commentary, or maybe it just communicates something like, you know, information, like an emotion or something. You know, it's, the sky's the limit. You guys are the artists, so you can do what you want. Okay, so start working on that, and then let me know if you have questions, and I'll pop back in and answer them. And I'll check back in at the end of the class.